Well, hello. It's Fiona. Way to start with staying true to the fact that I'm going to have wind interference in these podcasts because it's a blowy day and I'm out walking, and that's usually where and how I record my stuff. I seem to process when I'm walking or driving, so there will always be some sort of background noise. And I wanted to start a podcast for a good while, and apart from just being terrified or not knowing really what to talk about, the thought of having to sit down and talk to process in front of a computer, or it just hasn't been a thing. So I don't know, landing on this idea that I want to just voice memo and ramble. Like, rambling is how I find my truth. It's how I work out what feels like my truth in my body. As I speak, I often get revelations of like, oh yeah, that is what I'm thinking, that is what I'm feeling. And I started using voice memos to hear my own voice, to honor my own voice as a healing thing, actually, to be like, my voice is important enough for me to listen to, so I'm going to record what I've got to say and then listen back to it. And then starting to trust that other people do want to hear my voice. And yeah, as my little trailer says, I want to release my voice into the world as a podcast. And it's been an evolution, and this just feels like, I guess, the next step. So I recorded a intro the other day, or a first introduction, why I want to do this, my thoughts, my feelings on this, and it was way too windy, to the point that you couldn't hear the audio. Like, and whilst I'm gonna honour the fact that sometimes there will be wind, I also don't think that hearing wind is, like, if you can't hear the audio, it defeats the point, right? So, but realising, like, it really, really is key to me that I can just ramble and not have a script and not have anything in particular in front of me, just talk freely. And I'm noticing I just want to recreate what I said the other day, which doesn't feel like I've already said all this. It doesn't feel free and expressive in my body, and I guess I'm just acknowledging that, like, that's something I would do in a voice memo, and just be like, it's not flowing, it doesn't feel quite right. And I guess that's one thing that I'm wanting to explore with this, is like, I do not promise to be regular with this. I want it to be an intuitive, I feel like talking right now, and I'm going to turn that into a podcast. So if I do it 3 days in a row and then not for 3 weeks, that's okay. Just trusting my flow, trusting the process, trusting that some episodes will be 3 minutes and some will be 30. Like, that's okay. Trusting that it is okay. This is a gift to myself, really. A gift to learning to let go of perfection. A gift to, trusting that as I speak, I bring truth. And it is my truth. And I'm part of a 12-step program, well, a couple fellowships actually, and what I really love about the sharing space is that we're invited to share our experience, strength and hope, and just in listening to other people's shares, I learned so much about myself. Like, we can only share our own experience. No one can talk for anyone else, and so we're encouraged to use I statements and refrain from using you and we language. And that's been really empowering for me, because when someone owns their experience, then I can identify myself in that. It's no one's attacking me or telling me that I'm experiencing something. It's kind of like, oh, yeah, me too. And there's a softening and an opening that happens. And I guess in part that's something I hope that happens here as I share. And there's this part of me that's like, well, who do you think you are to be sharing your experience and hoping people can learn from it? But I realized the other day in sitting with that question, it in the past I would have been like, it's a lie. But who do I think I am? Like, who do I think I'm not? Like, I don't serve anyone by shrinking and by not speaking my truth. And I realized that as I own myself, like, there are so many parts of myself that I still have shame about. And I think the other thing I've realized is anything that's not speakable is seeped in shame. Like, anything that I don't feel like I can talk about or don't have words, can't wrap words around, can't bring language to, whether or not I'm consciously aware of the shame. Like, I might not consciously be ashamed of it, but there's an element of like, this is unspeakable, I can't talk about it, it must be bad. So wanting just to bring language to myself, to my expression. And sometimes I feel like that's beyond language. Like, it might just be noises and sounds, but that's still an expression. I also think that there's this thing that, I know that it happens for me. When I talk, it moves energy. Like, it's an actual expression. It's me moving energy through, in, out, engaging with the energy that's in my body, and experiencing myself, my truth, bringing clarity, or just, again, owning what my truth, owning how I'm feeling in a moment. And that's really powerful. I also think I learn to know what feels like my truth in my body as I talk. Like, again, I don't always know how I feel about something until I talk about it, and then I'm like, yeah, that is how I feel, or that feels like truth. And that's a way of coming home to myself and getting to know myself, I think. There's something I really love human design. And something in my chart says that I do learn to process. I learn through the process of talking what my truth is. And it really does. I think there's an element of connection that happens too. Like, in allowing myself to be seen and known by myself, I'm actually creating space for others to know me at that level as well, like creating capacity to be known by others. And I guess in part this is what that is, as in releasing this as a podcast as I ramble and just being like, yep, It's not perfect. I could have done that better. I will learn as I go. Um, accepting my voice, accepting the wind, accepting that this doesn't feel as free flowing as it did the first time I recorded it. And being okay with all of that, like, that's there is an element of like, that's really hard to do. I want it to be right and perfect, and yeah, but this is the journey. This is how it's gonna look. So I guess if anything resonates with you, or if you wanna come along on the journey, do. If you don't, that's one of the things I've joked about. Like, I should start a podcast, and the people that want to listen to me can listen to me, and the people that don't want to won't, and no hard feelings. So, yeah, that's me for now. Thanks for coming along on the ride. I think that if you PS. Are you allowed to have PSs in podcasts? I guess I can have whatever I like. PS. I've really been trying to sit with this idea of like how much to share, and how like 12-step has this structure around no crosstalk, and keeping things anonymous. Not private, but anonymous. Like, there's a structure around how one shares, and how people listening receive that. So, like, what is shared on this podcast stays in this podcast. Like, if I know you personally, this is not conversations to have outside. I don't know. I don't know how that needs to look. Do I need to change names? Do I like? I'm just sitting with that, and yeah, not really sure what that will look like, or if it will look like anything. Yeah. Hey, g'day. Welcome to the Inner Ramblings of Fiona. I'm Fiona. And this is a podcast born from the freedom that I've found in just being able to speak candidly into voice memos. It is truly an honor to be in your ears, for you to choose to listen to me. Yeah, this is an experiment of sorts for myself, showing up for myself, and yeah, it's an honor to get to share that with you, to have you choose it. Welcome. I want to say I hope you enjoy, but if you don't, that's cool too. Yeah. Welcome. There you have it. Episode number 1. Oh, what an experiment this is going to be. I feel like I'm going to learn a lot. Not just about myself, but about recording and how to stitch things together and using this app. Just being myself and not being like, I wonder how people are going to receive me or think about me, or just letting it flow. Thanks for listening. If you do want to find me, I guess I will put those in the show notes. Places that you can contact me and ramble back at me if you feel so inclined. Otherwise, till next time, I suppose. Have a good one. Bye. Hey guys, it's Fiona. I recorded the introduction to this podcast, the first episode, maybe a week ago now, and I am sitting on it, not wanting to release it just because it's not quite right. It's the second recording. I am very nervous about it. It's like, who am I to release this? Like, how, not who am I, but like, how will this be received? They're outward things, outward projections, but there's this want for it to be perfect, and to capture all the things, all the reasons, all my thoughts, and I think I wanted to add this little bit just because I need to acknowledge those parts and release it anyway. Like, that is why I'm doing this. For me to show up, to trust this process, to learn to trust myself and my voice. So, I'm going to acknowledge that this isn't as free-flowing as I would like it to be. That this episode is a second take trying to reproduce something that flowed very freely the first time. And when I speak, very often that's when I get the revelations, like just letting myself ramble until I get to my truth, feeling it in my body. I can't remember if that's in the episode or not, but the process is my process. The process of talking is how I discover, and I discovered a lot of things recording this first episode, but I don't have that episode. It was too windy. Like, I couldn't hear myself at points. So I recorded it again from notes that I took. And I think it's just, I'm going to chalk it up to learning that that's not how it works best for me. But also this really strong desire to, like, I want to release this. I want to trust this process. I'm going to improve. I'm going to get to know how to do this, or when it's too windy, or this is the learning. So yeah, thanks for being on the ride. Thanks.